feel it in your heart.
Sunshine smiling warm up inside your heart. Feeling of pure love. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat. Dancing to the beat up inside your heart. Heartbeat of the world. Oh, Jamaican heartbeat. Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica.
Can you feel it? Jamaican heartbeat.
Love it.
Heartbeat of the world. Beyond compare. Nothing like it anywhere. Share, eat and drink. We move and dance with you. No matter where you are.
No matter where you come from.
No matter where you're from. Join in the party. You're welcome.
They laugh,
You're
smile,
welcome.
chop. So me say greetings, welcome to one and all, to the land of scat, reggae and dancehall. There we go beach, river and waterfall, and we have a lot of party when the night fall. Hold a vibe, eat something with a drink in your hand. Rum beer, jerk chicken, roast fish, yellow yam. Them say we beat unique, so every boy, every girl come to Jamaica, the heartbeat of the world.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica.
Can you feel it? Jamaican heartbeat. Heartbeat of the world.
Welcome back to the final segment of the International Conference on Inclusive Insurance 2021, the Jamaica Perspective, or the Jamaican Perspective. We end this conference, the Jamaican segment, that is, with a discussion on digitization, financial inclusion, and microinsurance. Our presenters will appear in this order and then take your questions. We'll begin with Ms. Christabel Brown, Operations Liaison at WePay, and GM WeShops. Ms. Melanie Williams will follow. She's the Project Coordinator of Financial Inclusion Strategy, Jamaica. And finally, Mrs. Keon Walker-Heslop, Manager, Direct Marketing Program, Employee Benefits at Sagicor Life, Jamaica. Christabel, over to you.
Now, have you ever wondered how persons in the Caribbean here gets paid? Well, who are we? This is WePay. And I'm just basically going to show you a quick video about what WePay does, our current projects here within the Caribbean, and how we've been able to actually enable individuals and businesses to get here and get paid right within the Caribbean.
Last year, We Day 2019 saw the launch of many digital payment solutions in the markets across the Caribbean. WePay made court payments digital and online with CourtPay. WePay is the company that took the Trinidad and Tobago government online with its GovPay platform.
I'm a rebel with a cause and it coming with a force. Yeah, and I never really show what I think.
We're not going to give you points. We're going to give you cash. Cash back. Not cash back at the end of the month. Not cash back in a rebate check.
A SARS-like virus, which has infected hundreds in China.
In China's biggest cities that have been in virtual lockdown.
The coronavirus outbreak could become a pandemic.
This was our opportunity to bring you to what is
the infection rate for this outbreak is much higher.
All of these people want to buy surgical masks and other supplies. Well, the BBC
in the central China city of Wuhan sits eerily desolate.
The world changed, and WePay was ready. In Trinidad and Tobago, WePay turned a whole city cashless with its mobile smart payment terminals enabling merchants in the borough of Point Fortin to accept digital payments. WePay took Carnival cashless with digital payments and tap to pay so partygoers could leave their cash at home. As a good corporate citizen, WePay responded directly to the COVID crisis by providing businesses with smart payment terminals for free for their delivery and curbside services. And WePay reduced online processing fees for merchants during the lockdown period. WePay also developed a COVID relief digital grant solution, which was utilized by the mayor of Point Fortin.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Richards, the mayor of Point Fortin, and we have had some issues in disbursing grants to our burgesses. How do we get this done? With digital grants. So you visit the Point Fortin Borough Corporation website, you sign up for the grant, and you utilize that approval in any business within the network, whether it be the gas station, the supermarket, or the pharmacy.
And the Living Water Community. The Living Water Community utilized the digital solution for their refugee program, which allows unbanked recipients to obtain goods and services using a digital QR code. In Jamaica, WePay partnered with the government's new Economy Task Force to introduce the country's first cashless farmers market. The solution converted cash into a QR code that was used for purchases within the market. WePay's solution was successfully demonstrated to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, where he noted the technology's importance for the future economy of Jamaica. In Guyana, WePay developed a solution for the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority to bring online payments for aircraft flying over Guyana's airspace. This allows the authority to collect payments in advance of the overflights. In Grenada, WePay partnered with the government to bring digital disbursements to the Seed Conditional Cash Transfer Program. WePay continues to form strategic partnerships to bring greater value to a wider financial ecosystem. WePay partnered with US-based Carib Shopper, enabling the diaspora market to easily and conveniently access Caribbean goods and services. WePay partnered with MasterCard to bring a set of new and innovative financial solutions to the Caribbean payment space. This partnership represents the first of its kind for the region. WePay launched WeLoan to democratize access to microloans. WeLoan entered into a partnership with Natick to provide individual loans to the working class in Trinidad and Tobago. What a year it has been. A year of change, a year of innovation, a year of firsts. Welcome to We Day 2020.
So of course, WePay was ahead of its time. From 2016, the idea of WePay was born from Jamaica because again, you had to have a problem to therefore have a solution. So our CEO, Aldwin Wayne, of course, back and forth in the Caribbean, saw the issues that Caribbean people and individuals, businesses, like you said, as micro insurers, you couldn't get paid. And of course, now with the pandemic, we don't want to deal with cash. How at any point in time we can conduct online payments in a safe and secure manner, and of course, ensuring that persons can actually play with first world technology. Now, how can we help? Now, the WePay audience is more of a cross-section. It's really a bit of everybody. So we're not limiting any single person. We're for the small, the medium, and the large persons. And again, they can benefit from our payment in and payment out network. Now, there are three categories of individuals within the Caribbean. And again, this is just the Caribbean, but a wider extension, the world, the banked, the underbanked, and the unbanked. We can say here in Jamaica that for the underbanked and the unbanked, it is absolutely hard for you to actually go online and make a payment. Persons, the average man, is still using cash at some point in time to make a payment. Now, how do you convince that person, that farmer, that fisher folk, the average Joe, to go online and make a payment? Now, there are current opportunities within the space right now with current projects. Again, we have seen here with the then Agriculture Minister, would have launched programs with other institutions. But again, how do we get the average person to come on board? How do you collect the premiums? How do you, the small, the large, and the medium-sized insurance company try to collect your payments? I'm going to show you how to do so. Now, we have a wide variety of products and services, not one, not two, but a bit of basically how we can actually put forward and enable you to collect from your customers. Now, say for example, you may have a customer that you communicate via in WhatsApp. You message your customer and you're like, okay, all right, I need to pay your premium. You could send a set invoice and you could copy and paste that link and send to your customer in WhatsApp. They can bring up that link, they can tap to pay, use their credit or debit card. Let's talk about the personalized link. Now, what if you as a microinsurance company, whether it be small, medium, or large, you can send a personalized link. This personalized link has the opportunity of not the set feature, but say, for example, I have $20,000 and probably need to pay somebody, right? And let's say as a Jamaican, the small average person, I'm from a low income space, and let's say I have $1,500 that I pay today, I can pay $2,000 next week. The WePay personalized link is for you. Let us talk about QR code solutions. Now, you as a microinsurance individual or even the company itself, you will have an enabled QR code. And of course, your customer can, of course, open their camera, put their camera right over your QR code, and tap to pay, ease of convenience at your fingertips. And again, you can basically scan the QR code, and the customer can basically bring up, tap to pay, and make the payment. Let's talk about the smart Neo terminals. Now, our terminals are everything but a phone. With the other terminals in the market, they can tap to pay for debit and credit card payments. Our terminals are able to process QR codes. They're able to host custom apps. So, for example, for the microinsurance individuals here, for each company, you could have a custom app built by WePay to facilitate credit and debit card payments and can process QR codes. Now, of course, I won't take too long because, again, my presentation spoke for itself. Get in contact with us. We gave you a bit of everything: the invoice, the personalized option, the EPOS, the terminal. Use any of these features to come online and, of course, get paid right here within the Caribbean, not Jamaica, but Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Barbados, Guyana, and Grenada, because the WePay market, the WePay network is expanding. This is WePay, the Caribbean's leading payment platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Christabel Brown, Operations Liaison, WePay Jamaica, and General Manager, WeShops, for that excellent presentation. We continue with Ms. Melanie Williams, Project Coordinator, Financial Inclusion, Strategy Jamaica. Also, let us remember, we are discussing digitization, financial inclusion, and microinsurance. After all ladies have presented, we will continue with a question and answer segment, and we do hope you will have many questions for the ladies. They're not shy at all to answer any of those questions for you. Melanie, over to you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to the conference participants, and thank you again for the opportunity of having Bank of Jamaica here to make this presentation. Now, what we're really going to be discussing is the role of Bank of Jamaica in partnership with the FSC and a number of other important financial inclusion partners in promoting financial literacy as a key enabling factor to driving microinsurance. So, of course, the traditional disclaimer that all of us give. The views which are expressed are those of the author, myself, and do not necessarily represent the views of Bank of Jamaica, its officers, its employees, its staff, or agents. And we have also taken a very important first step as a way of encouraging recognition of IP property ownership, if you will, by acknowledging that all the photos used in the presentation are in fact the property of Bank of Jamaica, and unauthorized use is prohibited. So what is financial literacy really about in the context of microinsurance? It seeks to empower the consumers. Now, if you look at the Financial Services Commission their framework policy papers, their framework paper rather, and the policy paper done in 2017 and 2018 respectively, there is a recognition, as Ms. Smith would have mentioned earlier in her presentation today, that the target audience for microinsurance products are those that are underserved or in fact completely unbanked. And it is important to make sure that they understand the products that they are being served, that they understand their rights under these arrangements, and also that you minimize the risk of any person who is selling a microinsurance product misleading them. It's very important. So that's what this is all about. So under the broad heading of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, we have a component called responsible finance. And that actually has informed the work of the FSC in relation to the microinsurance framework. Now, the Financial Services Commission heads a working group, the Consumer Protection and Financial Capability Working Group, which has primary responsibility for driving the development of the legislative framework for microinsurance. I don't propose to go through all of the text on each slide. This is just for information after the conference is over. So very broadly, you'll notice that some of the key user cases, if you will, in terms of microinsurance, as has been highlighted during the course of the day, include persons who are trying to protect themselves from loss of income, which may happen because of disasters that affect farmers, for example, fisherfolk, as mentioned by my colleague just a while ago, as well as persons who may suffer injury while on the job, persons who may also have to bury a family member. So the range of user cases or relevance of microinsurance cannot be underestimated and must be clearly advanced. We're very heartened by the statements made by the Honorable Minister of Finance this morning, and we certainly would encourage all participants to really continue to stay tuned to developments in Jamaica. I was also quite impressed when Ms. Smith mentioned that Jamaica is one of 3 territories in the Caribbean that in fact are pushing very strongly on microinsurance. That's critical, because when you look at what the FSC has been doing for a number of years, this has been long in the making. But it is critical to have those who are financially excluded come into the space whereby you have adequate risk mitigation measures for them, meeting them at their price point with regard to their own income flows. So what is it all about? We've mentioned this before. We've spoken to creating the enabling environment for microinsurance, creating the regulatory framework, if you will, understanding the challenges, and also having timely financial literacy interventions. And I've mentioned this, the work done to date. We've had a policy development. But more importantly, how does financial literacy impact the eventual policyholder? They need to understand what's in it for them. Always, as when we are putting forward products, how can they actually make a claim? How can they make a premium payment? As my colleague has just given a very brilliant solution. Put that on the table for your consideration. And we also want to have a clear understanding of what their rights are. Simple language to describe the policy so that they can understand. Now, the challenges that we are facing in the Jamaican context is the reality is that we have very low levels of financial literacy generally. Much work has been done by a number of agencies, the Bank of Jamaica, the FSC, by Consumer Affairs Commission, and other entities, including the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, to advance increased knowledge among our population, but there's still much to be done. So what we have sought to do is we've really tried to educate our population about the existing products and the benefits of insurance specifically. Now imagine if you can translate that now into the benefits of microinsurance for the policyholders to eventually take into their consideration and really have an understanding of that. And it's very important that they understand what the consumer protection mechanisms are in terms of making a complaint, how the complaint will be investigated, and how will it be resolved in a timely fashion. So what has happened? From 2017, when we launched a National Financial Inclusion Strategy, as I mentioned, we set up a working group that was looking at consumer protection and financial capability. And part of that is that having formed under that working group a subgroup, which is led by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, we developed a National Financial Literacy Action Plan. And that is now being implemented. You can see on the screen the members who are part of that working group. They all had a very important role to play in terms of developing that National Financial Literacy Action Plan. And we really seek the key themes. We seek to empower our youth as economic citizens and agents, for them to recognize their own autonomy. And we seek to promote behavioral change. And we're starting with the youth in large part because we recognize that the youth are change makers in their own homes. They can be the ones educating their caregivers, their parents, their grandparents, their guardians, because they are best placed to actually get that information in school, as well as those youth who are outside of school will have separate interventions for them. It is important that we see them as the motivators of change, and that we always answer the question, what is in it for me from the perspective of the consumer? So we have captured in the policy framework the existing initiatives which have taken place by the various agencies, and we have really sought to expand the infrastructure around financial literacy, content development, and dissemination. I mentioned this in terms of who are the parties. And where we are now, I'm pleased to report, is that we are at stage D, market research. So we've gone through all of that already. We have developed the terms of reference that actually allowed us to procure a market research firm. In fact, it's Market Research Services Limited that is actually engaged in the field now as we speak, conducting the survey, which seeks to actually capture a better understanding of our youth in terms of in-school and at-risk youth, in terms of understanding key financial literacy concepts, including questions around insurance. Now, this work is we anticipate that the report will be ready by the end of December. And that report is going to really be looking at certain aspects of what we seek to educate our population on when it comes to insurance, and by extension microinsurance. First of all, what is insurance from the perspective of a 12 to 18-year-old? What does it do for them? How can it protect them, their family members? And then we're going to be drilling down into how can this best help me? How can I get access to insurance, both general and life? And how can I pay? All of this is going to be part of the foundation that will inform the development of educational content that we intend to translate into part of a curriculum, which will be disseminated by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, who, as I mentioned, is the lead on the sub-working group. So the next steps, as I've mentioned, we're going to be sharing the report both with private sector and public sector entities and agencies, and we're going to be improving the delivery of existing financial literacy content. We're also going to have, really rolling out the financial education program in high schools, in all our secondary schools, and we want to make sure that we have complemented the legislative process, which is already in train, quite advanced, in terms of microinsurance. So Bank of Jamaica is not the regulator for microinsurance. That honor belongs to the Financial Services Commission. What Bank of Jamaica does instead is that we partner with the FSC and other entities to make sure that we fill certain gaps regarding the side of the market that the BOJ regulates. Banking, your money service businesses, payment service providers, for example. So we have launched a series of programs really meant to build on that. One of which we invite you to go onto our social media platforms and check out our newest offering, which is BOJ Real Talk, whereby we deep dive through an animated series into concepts around how do you manage credit, how do you actually save and own your own home, how do you, budget effectively, how do you translate your income into something long-term meaningfully through investment opportunities, for example. We also have financial literacy tips. We're on 4 radio stations. And we also partner with the Under the Law program, which really ties back key legislative provisions by dramatizing them in easy-to-understand content. And before COVID, we remember the pre-COVID days, we were out in the field. We were out in the field in partnership with the FSC, with the Consumer Affairs Commission, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the DBJ, a number of entities really meeting with the people, educating them on the roles of the regulators, opportunities for MSMEs to have access to financial literacy content that made sense to them, and meeting with the youth as well. And of course, we had educational content around insurance as well being on offer. So we anticipate that this work will continue. And again, how could I forget this? The BOJ is centrally speaking. You can check us out every Thursday, right after the newscast at 8:30 on TVJ, where we deep dive into financial concepts and economic concepts that everyone can understand. Why is this important? Because we want to make it mainstream for our youth as a main motivators, change agents, if you will, to understand financial concepts, particularly those related to the day-to-day risk mitigation that we need when it comes to insurance and, by extension, microinsurance. Not enough is understood by our most vulnerable portion of our population in terms of knowing how they can protect themselves. They tend to rely, as we know, primarily on friends, family, the government, church. But with microinsurance, you have an opportunity now to expand that and to empower them. So I would certainly encourage you to check out the Bank of Jamaica's social media platforms, check out our sister regulators, FSC Jamaica, their platforms, and expect continued partnership as we push microinsurance forward, because it's a critical factor in advancing financial inclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Melanie Williams, Project Coordinator, Financial Inclusion Strategy at the Bank of Jamaica. We now welcome Mrs. Keon Walker-Heslop. She is the Manager of Direct Marketing, the Direct Marketing Program, Employee Benefits, Sagicor Life Jamaica.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen present here in the audience and in the virtual space, or new normal. Thank you for having Sagicor represent as well. All right, so today I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about Sagicor's role and what we have been doing in the microinsurance space. So in Jamaica, Sagicor is very present, yes? And we're market leaders, we would say. The numbers say so as well, in the different areas of insurance, and we don't think it is any different in the microinsurance space. As the insurer of choice, we take this role seriously because we know that it is a part of our contribution to building our nation, Jamaica land we love, and we feel that it is our responsibility to be able to identify gaps wherever they are, and to create the products and services that will meet the needs of our market. What is our role? Our role is to create the plans that will meet, as has been resonated today, the underserved section of the market who are largely uninsured or underinsured. How are we going to do this? We provide greater access to health and life insurance coverage so that persons can get the protection that they need. We have engaged for a very long time in the employer arrangements, and what we found is that, we had neglected the direct marketing space for a very long time, even though there were significant gaps and there are high rates of uninsured persons within the non-employer groups and associations and what we call special interest groups. To be able to address this and to effectively market to these groups, what we had to do is what was also resonated throughout today, is to engage and to educate them about the value of insurance. And we believe that adding value will benefit all of us as a nation. So we had to seek to change the negative perception that surrounds insurance in many of the quarters in Jamaica, and especially to this particular target group. What we did in our plans was to try to generate interest by providing our potential members with, not only as we look at microinsurance as small coverage, small premiums, but more importantly, meaningful coverage with affordable premiums. One of the other things that we needed to do was to provide access points. And access points would be about, the ability to give them the access to learn more about the offerings and the ability to enroll for the insurance benefits. We also had to provide ease of access so that they could pay their premiums readily. The success of microinsurance, we have seen it over and over, and more so earlier this year as we ventured into the agricultural space with our AgriCare plan that we did for farmers and fisherfolk, showed us that, the success of these plans are really heavily reliant on the partnerships because they help us to get ease of access to their eligible members. It helps to provide an avenue to meaningful engagement. We spoke earlier about the skepticism, also resonated as one of the challenges that we have all experienced operating in that space. And so we found that meaningful engagement would provide us with a listening ear. And when we're able to partner with these persons, getting access through the groups, the trust level would improve. We also found it to allow us to get reliable distribution channels. And I will go into that as I talk about the case of AgriCare. So what was AgriCare? As I mentioned, it was a plan established between the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, and Sagicor. We were able to provide a wide range of coverage to all the members of RADA or Fisheries, which would the Regional Agricultural Development Authority or the National Fisheries Authority for the benefit of our members internationally. And so we were able to provide a wide range of coverage, which included health insurance, life insurance, critical illness, and some AD&D benefits. The health insurance plans that we provided were 4 different plans, and what we found is that there was actually a very large take-up in the health insurance space, which was relatively new for this type of target group. The methods allowed us to provide our members with electronic enrollment, and this was done through major social media platforms. It was done through, mainstream media, television, and so on, and we allowed them to have manual enrollment. The manual enrollment process was enabled through access at the local RADA or fisheries outposts, and this speaks again to the importance of the partnerships, because we found that for the manual process, so even though we are in a digital arena, we're in a digital age, it is important to understand the target audience to whom we are marketing. And for the farmers in particular, we found that about 85% of the enrollments that we received were done through the manual channel, even though there was a digital one available. As it relates to payments, persons were able to pay online through one of our partners, through Paymaster Online. They were also able to pay through Paymaster locations online as well, who basically are in every nook and cranny of Jamaica. And so for these persons, they found that to be quite accessible. They were also able to make their payments at our Sagicor Life branch offices. The distribution of cards and certificates. So the distribution was a 2-pronged approach. So access in terms of providing the information to your market, and then also providing the proof of insurance to your members. So as it relates to the health cards and the certificates that we would have provided to members who registered, we did it through our Sagicor network. Sagicor branch offices are island-wide. Members were able to come and to enroll to come and get their cards through the Sagicor branch network, or agents. We have a lot of agents in the field who are able to also deliver to members. The RADA and Fisheries Network, speaking again to the partnerships, members were able to go to that space, in which they're familiar, and to collect their cards and certs. And also other member preference options were utilized, such as the mailing, the postal system, and other collection methods. Talk a little bit about microinsurance and digitization through, on one slide I'll talk about it, and this is in relation to our school companion health plan. So with our school companion health plan, a plan that was created in 2019 to facilitate the enrollment of health insurance for children in secondary school up to the age of 21 years. With this plan, persons were able to enroll on our online portal, Sagicor Connect. They were able to make their payments, they were able to do their renewals, and they're able to submit and track claims online. School Companion tells a little different story as it relates to the enrollment process from AgriCare. And so it goes back again to understanding the target market in which you're operating. With the School Companion plan, in the first year, we saw a large number of enrollments done through the manual process, but we still had an attractive take-up rate on the digital portal. However, we saw that as the years went by, there was greater adoption to the technology, and persons have really been utilizing that digitization process to do their complete enrollment and submit, as we said, submit claims, track your payments, and so on. So we see that persons can come full circle as it relates to adapting to the technology and the use of digitization as we move forward. Bold steps. I heard some of my colleagues speaking today about some of the challenges that we would have experienced. And our representative here, so my colleague also spoke about the challenges which they're working on as it relates to creating and establishing a framework that should assist us with dealing with some of the challenges. But Sagicor was unwavering, to take on the challenges that came with operating in the microinsurance space, to work through the teething pains and to benefit from the insights gained. So having stepped out of just, small insurance, life insurance plans into providing the health insurance for some of these members, it would require more administration for us. But what we have found is that members really welcome this, and there was a great market reception into this space. We also had excellent testimonials from our members who were able to say to us, having this insurance has made a difference in my life, and that has made it worth it for us. Some of the outcomes, it has allowed us to reaffirm the need, and more importantly, the demand for inclusive insurance. We've seen that through the interest that has been shown in terms of the number of enrollments that we've seen in the plans that we have. Based on the different groups, it has allowed us to whether standardize or customize our plans to tailor it based on the needs of each group. It has also allowed us to identify the opportunities for growth and to continue to innovate so that access to insurance will become more widespread. But what we have to do, has been stated here so many times today, is to combat issues around educating our people about insurance so that we can improve the low take-up rates. So even though I mentioned success of our plans, in terms of numbers, we do get a lot of enrollments. But in proportion to the group size. So when we look at, for example, the farmers who are registered on the radar, the number was 220,000. Well, clearly we were nowhere between that. So the take-up rate, when we look at take-up rates, we're still looking at very low take-up rates. So the education about insurance is something that we need to do because we have the ways and means to provide the access. We have the ways to get through to them. And so we continue to do what we need to do and stay committed to the process to ensure that access continues to be widespread and that we all continue to grow in this space for Jamaica, land we love. Thank you. I am going to play a quick video just to show you a testimonial of one of our farmers who had actually enrolled in the plan, and she spoke to the importance of it.
As the underdogs, so I see getting the insurance for the farmers is a big step, and I was very excited to get it, and that is why I go out there and I get mine done, because farmers face a lot of danger just like anybody else.
Charmaine Taylor is a farmer from Flagaman District in St. Elizabeth. She is one of the farmers who signed up for one of the insurance packages provided by Sagicor Life Jamaica. She has been a farmer for over 30 years.
I see farming as one of the biggest production in Jamaica, because without the farmers then people won't be able to survive, because the farmer is very essential to the country. My main production now is onion, so further on in the season then I'll go into things like tomatoes, cantaloupe and watermelon.
Like many other farmers, she encounters a difficulty on her farm from time to time.
On a daily basis then I would have to hire workmen to help me to do like the weeding. I do the spraying myself. In times when you have the beet armyworm, we will have to scout for the worm, because those are very dangerous when it comes to the farming, especially the onion and scallion production. So you have to scout it to see when you're going to have an attack of the armyworm so that you can get to it before it destroys the crop. Biggest challenge here on the south is drought. As you can see, my farm is well equipped to meet the drought, drip so that I can get it irrigated properly, because we don't get a lot of rainfall in this area. We use black drums, or further from here I have my home with a big tank where I use a big pump to pump the water and send it down here.
Ms. Taylor strongly believes that farmers are in need of life insurance as part of their backup plan in case of emergencies, and she explained why she decided to apply and what plan she chose.
I chose the comprehensive plan because I want to be fully covered in case of anything. Every occupation you have an insurance coverage that offer the people. The farmers were being looked at as the underdogs. So I see getting the insurance for the farmers is a big step, and I was very excited to get it, and that is why I go out there and I get mine done, because farmers face a lot of danger just like anybody else on the road. They're being exposed to chemical on a daily basis, so you need to have something to help you. You need a backup plan, and I would encourage every one of us as farmers to see it as very necessary to get insurance.
Ms. Taylor also shared her experience during the application process.
It was easy, straightforward, things that you didn't understand. The relevant authorities explaining to you, they were there to help you to choose the plan which best suits you, not only just for yourself but for your pocket also, so you could go with whatever you could afford to help you.
She shared this message for her fellow farmers about the importance of getting covered by the AgriCare insurance plan provided by Sagicor Life Jamaica.
Fellow farmers, take it from me, get insured. We are all in this together, and we need to be covered, we need to be protected. We are exposed every day to dangers, and we need to have something to cover us just like anybody else on the road. We need this health protection to cover us, because farming is very expensive, and without something to back you up in case of sickness, then it is going to be a problem to us. So getting the insurance is critical to us, not just to be there on the farm farming to get the money, but we have to think about ourselves and protect ourselves as well. So I would encourage all of us to get insured and get covered too.
I'm sure you can do a little bit better for these ladies who really delivered some excellent presentations. There's actually a question and answer segment going on in the Zoom chat between a couple of participants. They have questions for you. All three were just, very enlightening presentations. Christabel, you started off with We Pay, and I must say, it's been a short, I don't know how long it's been on the back end, but it's been for us, it's like you came on board and you just skyrocketed. How are things going now for We Pay?
We Pay is just expanding second by second. I can definitely say for the Caribbean, we have been getting calls. Again, my personal phone rings like daily about products and services that persons want within the space. Right. It is time that we not talk about excuses of not getting paid within the Caribbean. And again, the banks have been trying to, of course, facilitate us. So of course, get your debit card, your credit card, and even make payments even internationally as well. So we really have no excuse as to, okay, why can't I make a payment? Knowing this cashless society that we're supposed to be in, How is it that we get the average man on? And that's exactly why our products and services were designed for a bit of everybody. And that's why WePay is exclusive for everyone within the Caribbean. So the average man can go on and use the invoice, they can use the payment link. And again, it's not about how we design for us as individuals, but how we are perceived by the public and how they can actually use these services with convenience.
You touched on something that was mentioned earlier, and just this general mistrust. So many persons just don't trust these Guzum digital. Sorry, it's an international.
It's
audience.
very, very right.
I don't even know what to translate Guzum to. Sorry. But many people just don't trust these digital channels. They want to see cash in their hand, not even a bank many persons trust. How are you overcoming that barrier? I think it was in the GK presentation earlier. How are you overcoming that barrier of mistrust and getting people to use no cash, cashless? That sounds so nice.
I'll give you a case in point, a very prevalent example, RADA Cashless Farmers Market. Now, there were different opportunities of persons having to have a card, and again, this is the RADA Cashless Farmers Market. The average person with what we call a banger phone, not a smartphone, they're not able to have access to a card. So what we had a redemption center. You came in with $2,000 and you're able to exchange that cash for a digital option within seconds. Now you could go to any of the tents that had, whether it be eggs, fruits or vegetables, and you're able to scan that QR code right there with the terminal. So again, it's a simple exchange of how cash can no longer be in the system, you exchange it, and of course you're using digital services. So again, you have products and services designed for persons who have the smart access to technology, but the persons who can actually come in and exchange cash for digital solution.
Thank you. And Melanie, I will say that I am beyond impressed with the work that the Bank of Jamaica has been doing above the line. I call it above the line, but just across the board, it's clear that you are trying to educate Jamaica about financial literacy, and I'm curious about your financial literacy program that you are trying to start. Will you be using financial institutions to do that? She's like, girl.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Thank you so much for that question, and thank you for that endorsement. Let me be clear, Bank of Jamaica is not doing financial literacy alone. It's a bagawi.
Yes.
They have a posse.
That international Dirk, that means a lot of us.
A lot of us. I'm so sorry. I used to be at the Financial Services Commission, so I'm a little more, I'm not quite as formal. But
well, your voice is great, by the way.
Thank you. But the reality is, in promoting financial literacy, we recognize that we have to have private sector on board. So in fact, the work being done just recently by the PSOJ Access to Finance Facilitation Panel on financial literacy, that 2-day conference they had, transformative. And that's what we want to do more of. I will not mention all the names of the entities who have expressed an interest in getting the report, but of course, one is represented on this esteemed panel, and there are others in the audience. And we intend to share the report with them as well, because we cannot discount the work being done by our financial institutions to promote financial literacy. I will just make one other comment. When we are speaking of financial literacy, it goes back to the concern you had about persons being reluctant to use digital means of effecting payment or doing business. There's an opportunity to educate someone and have a conversation and be educated in return when you're actually now at the point of entering into that business arrangement. So that's where we see the private sector becoming quite relevant. And we, the regulators and the ministries, are there to make sure that the educational content put out there is transparent and is, of course, not self-serving, because financial literacy is a win-win-win. If you have a more educated consumer who knows your role as a financial institution and the role of the regulator, then you find that that consumer can better navigate and upscale in terms of the products that he or she would want to have as their income changes and as you protect them more. I mean, I was very impressed by that video with our breadbasket, or farming the breadbasket of Jamaica. Now, can you imagine when she chooses to upscale further? She has one type of product, but suppose she expands it, suppose she gets another farm and wants to move up into a different type of property insurance. These are the opportunities that are available to us if we promote financial literacy.
You're correct. It is a win-win. I just want to pause I do have some, oh, look at you. I have some questions on Zoom. There are questions already in the audience. If you raise your hand, the microphone will be brought to you. Let's talk timeline though, Melanie. So many times in our country, we are stuck on policy and framework and strategy. When do we actually get into schools? And are we talking primary, secondary? What are we talking?
So in the discussions we've been having with the Ministry of Education, and they're not preliminary because this has been going on since 2018, there is an actual class which has to do with family life and health. And I need to actually acknowledge the work of the Honorable Minister Favour Williams, as well as our point of contact. She's been tremendous, Dr. Tamika Benjamin from the Ministry of Education. I mean, she's absolutely fabulous. So the point is that when we get this report from the survey, we are going to be sharing it with our public sector colleagues on the working group that I mentioned, which include the ministry. And the ministry is going to then be looking at it as a first stage to decide how they're going to approach the whole purpose of developing the curriculum. Mr. Orville Johnson is here, and I must indicate that the IAJ and Mr. Johnson in particular have done a lot of groundwork towards developing it. The FSC is also here, Mr. Leon Anderson, as well as, I'm sure, while Mr. McFarlane may not be physically here, he was here earlier, and there is a financial education program in schools that the FSC has been promoting. So the thinking is to eventually take lessons from that experience. The FSC was in 18 schools, and expand that so it becomes part of the secondary school curriculum. We will eventually get to the primary school, but the first thought process was 12 to 18, because at that point, after PEP, and I feel it for the parents who go through PEP, so after PEP,
thank you,
and you can breathe, then we will tackle financial concepts, because the point is we want our children and our youth to not be intimidated by terms that they hear being thrown around like equity and preference shares and microinsurance. You know, they need to understand what it means for them. And so that's where we're going with secondary school. Timeline, I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question. Let me come right to it. Yeah. Timeline. We're wrapping up everything. We're working towards bringing this all to a successful completion by 2024, which means survey happens now, curriculum development, and of course you'd have other steps being done by the ministry, procurement, training of staff. It's going to be a long process in terms of putting everything together, but the outcome, better we do it properly so that the outcome is content that is relevant to the Jamaican context, and language is a major part of that. So when you go to the BOJ Real Talk, we use Patois and English.
Right. Now, I love that. I'm going to push back, and I'm going to ask you to ask everyone on the project team to consider primary students. Because, I mean, I'm amazed at what children are able to pick up and learn nowadays on these digital platforms.
Yes.
And I feel like, yeah, maybe they can't learn the words equity and it will confuse them a little bit, whatever. However, I think we can do savings.
Indeed.
Yeah, we might not want to do credit, but, you know.
We can do credit, you know.
We can do.
Because, I mean, I'm thinking of Senator Floyd Morrison, you know, in terms of his work, when he describes, there's so many of our leaders, when they describe that they started their business in primary school with sweets. Let's face facts. You know, there are persons in the audience who are the same. So why not? The principles of becoming an entrepreneur can be sold very early. So I agree with you. I would say we would have to continue to segment what we think would be best placed in terms of financial content. And of course, I'm not with the Ministry of Education, so I don't want to speak for Dr. Benjamin out of turn. But it's certainly something I'm going to take back to the project team and put forward.
And I'm sure Christabel will say, and you just teach them not to just make it cashless. We are in business.
I second.
We have a question from the audience.
Yes, I understand. My question is to the Sagicor lady. I think you mentioned.
She doesn't mind being called that. Her name is Kayon, but either of us, Sagicor lady, we're au fait.
You mentioned that Sagicor is maybe the leading insurance company within the industry. And I noticed that you didn't mention anything about the parametrics insurance. GK Insurance seemed to be far ahead of you. Where are you on that?
Repeat the question.
I'm saying that I heard her saying that Sagicor is one of the leading companies within the insurance industry.
Yes.
Right? And I didn't hear her mention anything about is it the parametric insurance, catastrophic risk for farmers. I didn't hear you mention anything about that in terms of if there should be a natural disaster like hurricane and things like that in terms of their products.
Well, I will say that Sagicor Group Jamaica, which includes Sagicor Life and Advantage General, as a group, we are the largest in Jamaica. Not one of, but the. And also, whereas what Keon mentioned, you can speak to it as well, but whereas what Keon mentions focused on a specific topic, there is a broad range of life insurance, health insurance, general insurance policies that are available to the wider Jamaican populace. Do you want to add to that, Sagicor lady?
Sure. So Alicia is right. So Willard, you look like you're standing.
Yeah, do you see him like he stood up like he was about to answer a question, but go ahead.
But yes, I was speaking specifically to health and life insurance in terms of the market share and leading on that. But of course, you know that we are now in the space where we are able to make those arrangements, and so Sagicor is doing the work that is required because we're new to the general side of the business.
Was there another question from the audience? Okay. Let me go to Dirk's question, or Dirk and Isaac having many questions. I think this had to do with School Companion. I'm not sure if it was School Companion. Dirk, you can type that into the chat if it was School Companion you were speaking of. Is the youth really the right target group? Can they sign insurance contracts? And then Isaac Agyapong said, the youth is the right target. They represent the future market of insurance. Mass education or sensitization in insurance campaigns would need to rope in all segments of the national population with contextual and thematic components of the sensitization to suit various cohorts of the population. And he refers Ghana, India, Peru, and the Philippines. So ladies, the question is, are youth really the right target group?
So I'll jump first.
Go ahead.
As it relates to School Companion in particular, we're not actually engaging in business with minors. The school insurance plan is for children, but who we engage with is the parents actually. So it's health insurance for children, but engaged by parents.
There is another question. Well,
I think
can you tell us how many clients you cover over the year? How much does the product cost? What is the claims ratio? Those are a lot of questions, by the way, Dirk. Me just I tell you.
Trade secrets.
All right, so as it relates to the numbers, without disclosing too much, I would say, as it relates to what we would cover in an employer arrangement, it would be a large group. We would consider a large group. So the numbers are pretty high.
For the context of the persons who are listening and watching, what is is a large group like 4,000 employers and up? I can't remember.
Between about 500 to 1,500, so it would possibly be bigger than a large group. Bigger than a large group in terms of the numbers that we see. So significant opportunity in the direct marketing space.
What I found interesting with School Companion, was the amount of parents who did not have insurance for their children and wanted to take advantage of School Companion because they don't have group insurance at their employer level. Is that something that you have found?
Yes, we have found that to be true, but also as we speak about microinsurance, and I'll just respond to Dirk's question as it relates to that as well. It's because of the affordable pricing. So you have persons who may be covered under their insurance and they find it difficult to cover dependents. And so this is a perfect opportunity for them to be able to cover their dependents. They also may be in an arrangement where, one parent is being covered and the other parent can't cover the child. And so, the different family dynamics. The price points, we start this year because the premiums have gone up a little bit this year, as low as 6,860 Jamaican dollars, and the highest price point is just about 14,000, which is just a little under 100 US dollars, if I should break that down for you.
Okay.
So. In fact, these premiums are for the year. These premiums are not a monthly basis. These premiums are annual premiums.
Karen Hilton says, excellent presentation, ladies. To endorse Ms. Williams' presentation, financial literacy must be viewed as key to product development, marketing, and sales instead of just a component of financial inclusion. I commend the work of NFIS and its partners so far. I'm really happy to see that our farming community can now be protected. It's good to see.
Thank you.
It certainly is good to see. Yes. Remember, if you have a question, please raise your hand, or if you have a question, please type it into the chat. What's next for WePay, Christabel?
WePay is currently right now within Jamaica. Our HQ would have been recently opened on 8 Grenada Crescent. So we are bringing the entire suite of products and services to Jamaica. So of course, Trinidad would have had everything. Jamaica is now going to be the largest market, coupled with our other sister Caribbean countries. And of course, there's a little bit of chatter for the next quarter coming up. There are going to be a lot more territories added, a lot more of our terminal market expanding as well. Definitely looking at the South American market as well. And we made an announcement with RIA Financial earlier this year that we're also able to facilitate payments from the US. And again, once wherever you're using WePay, you're able to accept payments from anywhere around the world. It's not limited to the Caribbean at all.
You mentioned WePay in a capacity where I wonder, and I don't know if this must be something that you all talk about in your board meetings and so on, and something that happens for all of us is, will all of these systems, we're developing more digital systems daily, will they be able to talk to each other? How compatible is everything that you are creating, all of the ingenuity and the innovation? How will it, is it sustainable if it's not compatible with everything?
I love that question. So every single product and service that's designed within WePay right now are actually first world products and services. So we've not changed the paradigm, we've not changed the space. We're giving Caribbean, because again, the Caribbean is associated to be a third world country, we're giving you the opportunity of playing with first world technology. When you go to the US or Europe or other countries, you find you're playing with Cash App, Zelle, and those products. When you come back to the Caribbean, a bank transfer takes 6 to 8 days to clear into your account. You probably have an issue with your card. Cash, some places don't accept cash at all. So again, WePay becomes that preferred service. You'd have seen the video in Trinidad in Port 14, where the entire city is cashless. You could go somewhere and top up your phone with a QR code and receive money. This could be anywhere. So again, it's basically ease of convenience right at your fingertips, basically removing cash from the system. You don't have to deal with day-to-day cash, deal with digital payments right there and then.
Do you think that, and speaking to the future now,
yes.
I mean, Melanie spoke about financial literacy and Kayan is speaking about School Companion, and just the whole conference is speaking about inclusive insurance. Mm-hmm. Where does WePay figure in all of that, in terms of vulnerable groups and making sure everyone has access? Is digital or is WePay something that everybody can access?
Everybody can access. So I'll give you a case in point. If you have a smartphone right now, you're able to access WePay's products and services and make a payment. If you are a regular man in Flagman City to the Beth and you have a banger phone argument sick and you don't have access to data, you can still make a payment and receive monies via WePay. So the QR code I would have mentioned.
I just want to be clear. You said on a banger phone.
Yes, I did say a banger phone. Yes, a regular average. So again, it's basically
for our international audience, that is simply not a smartphone.
Not a smartphone for sure. So of course, there are persons who will have access to a Visa or a MasterCard or an Amex or a Maestro. Again, that's with you able to facilitate those payments. But the average person, you could go to an outlet and exchange that cash for a QR code option, and that's your digital cash. You could have the equivalent of what would be the QR code, would be a voucher number that could be sent to you in a text. And you could input that information when you go to a location or an output, and of course input that, and that's basically your cash exchanges. So at no point in time there is no excuse that Caribbean individuals and businesses, and also for micro insurance companies as well, can now give their customers the opportunity of playing with this technology. There is no excuse at all. Because again, we have been hearing the concerns, we've heard the problem, and we're giving you the solution.
Thank you, Christabel.
Thank you.
Now, Keon, what's next? You guys are in your warehouse constantly. You're undaunted. I heard you say you're undaunted.
Unwavering.
Unwavering.
In our commitment, yes.
In pushing. I heard the minister say this morning that microinsurance will be tabled, but you gone doing microinsurance already. So what's next?
Well, we can't always, tell all our trade secrets, but, we continue, as I've indicated, that we're committed to the process, and we just continue to look for where the greatest needs are, because, as it is our mantra, we want to meet the needs of those persons who we serve, and so wherever the needs are, that is where we will be.
And Melanie, can I ask, what's the feedback like with the new programming and the new education initiatives? And
well, I must...
Does anyone here follow the BOJ on Twitter?
That's it. Everybody here is Bank of Jamaica and they think Central Bank and they...
No, listen. Some of the things you say on BOJ's Twitter account, I would never get away with it. But what's the feedback?
Well, so far we've had positive feedback, but I must say that conferences like this give us an opportunity to showcase the work we've been doing, so teachers are now aware of what we're doing. This conference is such an example. Several Jamaicans, first of all, they find us at Central Bank Jamaica. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we hope to be on other platforms. I don't want to speak out of turn because I have a real leader in our Executive Director of Communications, Mr. Noel Greenland, so I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but more is coming, more is coming.
Hi, Noel, how are you?
Right. But the feedback has been very positive, especially with regard to our animated series and, of course, with regard to the radio financial literacy tips and Under the Law. That flagship radio series program, it's fantastic. It's something that people, when they're going to work or they're coming back from work, will hear. You'll be sitting in a bus and you'll hear it and you'll learn. I just wanted to add just 2 cents to an earlier comment being made.
Sure.
I think it was by Dirk and then
Isaac.
I really like what Isaac said when he spoke about financial literacy content not just being limited to the youth. We're starting with the youth, and I'll take back the proposal you mentioned, the suggestion you mentioned, but we do recognize that there are other niche groups in the population that need to get financial literacy content tailored to them. The language that we use when we speak to a mother who is the head of a household or grandmother differs when you're speaking to a group of persons who may, for example, be, as you said, when you're dealing with fisher folk, the relationship. They need to see you. They need to know who you are. They need to have a conversation, trust you, and sign. Eventually, I'm sure we're going to all get where. I think living in the third world is fantastic. We have better lives than many in the first because we live in paradise. But the point is, we are really cognizant of the need to make sure that we tailor the financial literacy content. But we're starting with the pyramid, the base. We have to educate our children first. This is going to be the first of a 30-year investment, no doubt, because we're changing a generation and we're empowering them so that they're fully digital. Because everything that our children use and our grandchildren use will be completely different from what we know. And so we're preparing them to create the world that they need in the future through financial literacy content. That's why we're starting with the youth first. So the feedback's been positive. Please do go on our social media platforms and check it out. There's a lot more to be seen.
Are you sure you're not in the communications marketing?
I know. Well, I'm a lawyer, so we're chatting off.
Okay, I have another question for you, Christabel. This is for you. Can you give a few more examples where WePay is already used for insurance, if at all, if it is right now?
So I'm unable to call direct names, but in prevalence in the spaces, Trinidad is our primary market when it comes to the insurance, and it's actually growing. So now Jamaica now is the new country to now develop into. I've been in contact with some of the microinsurance companies as to how we can enable to have those payments done. You rightfully said you meet the people where they are. It's exactly what WePay has been doing. I remember I was in Black River about 2 weeks ago, and doing my own day-to-day businesses talking to me. And to me, I like being in the field, talking to the average people and hearing their actual concerns is probably the best feedback you need. And from there, you're able to design. That's where the magic happens. And you rightfully said, when you teach the grown people and meet them where they are, and you break down the jargon exactly as to, okay, this is designed for you, that fits for you, and it's exactly how we've designed our products, as basic, as average, so however people can actually go through, tap and pay a simple 1, 2, 3 option. So it's not like on a high level where we as educators, we can see it here and it's all the way up here. We are going as far as down to the average Joe who can basically go through and read average information and can process simple information to get straight to the point, but he's able to understand the core of exactly what we're trying to do. So it's same as how the kids at that age, primary, and I'm happy you brought that up, primary education is the foundation. You rightfully said, Alicia. So right from that basis, we get them in the primary age, but of course, in the secondary space, I have seen where students have come to me one away at my old high school, and they're like, what is WePay about? How are you able to get online? And they already have their own debit cards or credit cards, kid you not, they have it. But again, you're educating them from the ground up, and once they're able to, of course, the next 3-4 years, they're going to be doing online payments different than anybody else. So I'm happy that we're now setting the foundation for them as well.
So I have 3 girls, and my 7-year-old, she wanted me to download Amazon on her tablet, just so that she can shop for herself. And I'm thinking, that's why I say that they might not be too young to learn. And if they can learn how to shop, we can teach them financial literacy, that we can teach them how to save digitally, we can teach them about insurance and that kind of thing. I mean, forget, she doesn't know that Amazon doesn't have a magic credit card that, you know, that pays for the fidgets and whatever else it is that she wants. But, you know, you are correct. Very soon, our children will be doing the things that we thought would take such a long time.
It's already started.
So yeah.
It has already started.
Inclusive insurance.
It's already started.
The only thing they can't do, as Dirk said, is sign the forms themselves.
No, because they're not actually adults. But this is where engaging the parents becomes so relevant, because as a parent, you're going to listen to your child. And my first bank account I opened at age 12 in second form in high school. So there was a time when we had school saving programs in schools.
What happened to that?
Right. I'm not quite sure policy-wise.
You're not at liberty.
The change. But the point is, we recognize that children are intelligent and they are capable of making decisions. So where we go in the digital space, I can envision a world where a child would have their own wallet, they get their allowance, and they learn how to budget their own money and save up. That one of our episodes was built off of an experience of a communication officer, Mr. Karen Stewart, with engaging with his son. And so you hear terms about saving up for your PS5. Now, I didn't know what a PS5 was. I have no clue. I'm totally out of touch. But these young people are they come out of the womb wired. So you have to allow them to learn so that they can move in digital space.
So the community is what's important. And the community is the core at the education level. So, and again, my background is in education. The schools are what needs to be pushing this. Teachers are facilitators, and if they bring in this certain information that they need to empower and educate their students, the community has done their job.
Yeah, you might think that we're speaking a lot about young people, youth of our nation across the globe, but the truth is that when you can't have a discussion about digitization, financial inclusion, and microinsurance without speaking about young people. I mean, it is what it is. On the microinsurance side, yes, they're not the focus. You did clarify that. We are trying to focus on those who can actually buy insurance, but also financial literacy is important, as well as making sure that you can pay for your insurance through digital channels. So I really think that this has been a great discussion, and I thank you ladies very much. Do either of you have any final words for our audience? Make them good. You're the last to speak for the whole day. No pressure. Melanie, everybody's looking at you.
Well, I would say microinsurance is a fantastic opportunity to protect our Jamaican citizen and business. We spoke a lot about farmers, we spoke a lot about fisherfolk, but remember, these are also micro-entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And so by protecting their business and their livelihood, you get to protect the income stream for a family, and you get to actually remove a lot of the income disparity because you safeguard them. So I think microinsurance has to happen. It is an actual necessity. Now, financial literacy is all about the basic principle. You're not going to use what you don't understand. So you have to teach our population about how to use the products. So this is right on time. And I'm really eager to see what will happen in the future with participants as we have here.
Christabel,
jumping on from you said about micro-entrepreneurs and micro-insurance. We're just here to enable you to get paid and to how about to ensure that you have the smoothest transition possible, where if you're probably out in the field or probably right here at your home working from home, you want to ensure that business is running as normal. So it's not only for Jamaica, it's not only for the Caribbean, but we place here for you, designed for you, the individual, the entrepreneur, but the micro-insurer.
Thank you, Christabel. Sagicor lady, Kayon, Walker Hislop.
Just to say that, I mean, you know, the truth is the opportunities are significant. As I mentioned, the number of farmers, I mean, you know, in the different spaces. When you think about even the school companion plan and the number of children, what is the school population like? Yeah. We talk about these groups, significant opportunities in terms of growth. But I think we underestimate what these people can do when they understand, and you talk about the significance of what is the value of their earnings. Mm-hmm. So we found that most of our farmers purchase the most expensive insurance, health insurance plan. Mm-hmm. That is what we found. We thought, okay, maybe they'd do some life insurance, it's cheaper, some AD&D or some critical illness benefits. They purchased all, but they purchased the most expensive insurance. So we also have our own assumptions going into those spaces, mm-hmm. but once we provide the relevant information and the education, the opportunities can be significant and there is room for all of us. So, you know, I would just say, you know, looking forward to what will really come of this as we continue to grow the Jamaica land we love, and I keep saying that because it is an impact on the nation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a fantastic discussion. So says Isaac. Hi, Isaac. And also, Dirk said, basic financial education absolutely has to start with young people. Digitization can really help here since young people use it every day. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. We thank our live audience for being here all day. Clap yourselves. Clap yourselves. We hope you've been watered, refreshed. Those online joining us from all over the world. We had persons on from Jakarta, Indonesia earlier. I think those persons have gone to bed. Or Munich, Germany folks are going to bed just about now. And ladies, we have a little gift for you because you've been so fantastic. Thank you very much for being here. Please stand. You know, we like to get presents. And this, please note that Mark Chisholm is the only person who brought an assistant to hand out presents. Jess, why you make him do that?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now that brings to the end our conference today, or conference on our micro-insurance conference, a part of the International Conference on Inclusive Insurance 2021. You heard it here that next year this conference will be actually held here in Jamaica, and Dirk made the distinction, if things get better. Can we just say, let's get things better? Let's get things, we're not going to get into anything else, but let's get things better so that we can welcome more visitors and we can have a more robust discussion in person with persons from across the world about insurance. Orville, can you come here, please? I don't have a present for you. I just want people to see who you are on the TV screen. Come now. Don't run, don't run. I'm sure you're well insured, sir, but just in case.
And guess with who? Don't answer.
This is Orville Johnson, and I'd just like us to give him a round of applause. He's been really championing insurance in Jamaica, and I thank you very much, sir. I know you're not on the program, but I just wanted everybody to see who you are. So, to everyone who's joining us online and to everyone here, have an awesome evening. My name is Alicia White. It's been my pleasure to be your host this morning into afternoon. Have a great day.
Thank you, and thank you all.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica. Come join us and feel good again.
Can you feel it?
Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Love it. Come join us and feel good again.
Heartbeat of the world.
Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Jamaica. Come join us and feel good again.
Can you feel it?
Come join us and feel good again.
Jamaican heartbeat.
Love it. Come join us and feel good again.
Heartbeat of the world.
Jamaica, heartbeat of the world.
My name is Andrew Wright, and I live for my family. My illness took away the opportunity to go to special family occasions. I was sick in the hospital. I couldn't be part of that. That hurt my heart because I love my family and I wanted to be with them to cheer in that good times when they are achieving something. When I wake up in the hospital and realize what has happened to me, my concern was, how am I going to afford all of this? It's not only that I did surgery, but I did 2 surgeries.
He spent 14 days in the ICU, and he spent another 7 or 8 days in the Tony Thwaites section. It did not cost us anything. And this was all because I had the Sagicor Supplemental Health Insurance.
Sagicor take care of 3.5 million for my health. What more could I ask for?